wanted to be a musician. That's an education to unemployment. We started recruitment agencies just to pay our beer. I've always seen recruitment as a calling. If you give me a 300k budget, then of course I'm going to get people in. I'm not a fucking idiot, right? I see a lot of new recruiters coming into the field that don't invest in themselves.
Maybe they need to search actually for another job.
Please do.
AJ, you just moved to Amsterdam. What are you doing in Rotterdam?
We are kicking off season 3. The best way to kick it off with the one and only, the godfather or the grandfather of recruitment, Martijn Isager-Smit. The one and only. Martijn, how are you, champ?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
My name is Martijn Isager-Smit and I am founder of Recruitmentlife, a platform, a community for recruiters in the Netherlands. We do really cool events like recruitment comedy or a summer camp. I love having chats about recruitment and I'm really glad that I'm finally in Alisher, his interview.
Finally! Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going, Martijn?
Very well. Been very busy.
What is the big thing right now?
Well, we're at the end of the first half of the recruitment comedy tour. So that's been very busy.
Okay.
And a lot of fun, especially all the jokes I make about you during the comedy show.
I really hope it's a nice one, because I never saw one.
Well, you should come. No, so that's been a lot of fun and also a bit scary because going to towns where we haven't been before, you know, how much people are actually going to show up,
Yeah.
you know. I've been doing recruitment comedy for 15 years now, but it's exciting just to see if it works in other towns as well. If you've always done it in Amsterdam and Rotterdam, where you're more your network and your home base is. So it's been quite interesting.
Okay.
And now we're working our asses off for recruitment comedy.
Okay.
Or recruitment comedy. The best joke is that Alisher is going to make us all unemployed as a recruiter.
Come on. This is not the best reputation I can have there. Okay, look at this one.
It's at least going to make our work a lot easier. So
Okay.
that's what I hope, at least. No, and now all eyes on summer camp.
Okay, this is the biggest thing in the history of the Netherlands when it comes to the recruitment events.
I don't know if it's the biggest thing, but it is going to be the most fun thing and the most
tell us more
entertaining.
about it.
Well, I really like dance, and especially house and techno and things like that. So I really grew up with that kind of music, together with a lot of reggae. And I go to a lot of festivals here in the Netherlands. And that's, I guess, why I've also organized dance parties like Recruitment Disco, Recruitment Techno in the last few years.
Okay.
So that's one side. On the other hand, I also like things like True. I've been a member of the True community for years as well. I've been in the committee as well for True, organizing that together with Patrick. And of course, I also see things like Recfest in the UK. So the idea is combining a lot of the cool elements of all these different recruitment gatherings and putting a bit of my own magical fairy dust on it and making my own kind of cool festival. So the idea is we have some really cool musicians, we have really cool DJs, but we also have a lot of talks about recruitment, about the future of recruitment, about AI, about values that we should have as a recruiter.
Okay.
So it's been, yeah, how shall I say, a very cool to just to think it up and looking at where we are now, a month and a half away from summer camp. We sold over 250 tickets.
Wow, this is huge already.
So yeah, so we hope we'll finish at least 300 people.
Okay.
And have a really great time.
But this is then the Wreckfest, but in the Netherlands.
People are calling it that, so I hope that they're going to say Wreckfest is like a summer camp in the Netherlands.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, well,
When is it going to happen?
It's going to be 4th of June.
Okay.
So we really hope on good weather. And
what exactly is going to happen?
it's going to be in Bunnik, in Utrecht. So that's very central for everybody.
Okay.
Parking's really easy. Can get there by train. So it's going to be, I hope, a really cool place to be.
Who should come?
Everybody who loves recruitment,
Okay.
I guess. So they're going to be
English, Dutch.
I think predominantly a lot of Dutch people. Because hey, we are in the Netherlands. I know your fan base is a lot more international. But there will be some talks in English. And I think, to be honest, as in all my events, the focus is much more on connecting. You know, not only the talks, but also just connecting. That's why I started Recruitmentlife, because I think we should be talking about connecting with each other and learning from each other, and especially in a time like this, where so much is changing in our industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, learn from each other's mistakes and learn from the things that are great. So,
Sounds very right.
yeah.
Martijn,
Yeah.
because everybody knows you as the founder of Recruitmentlife, as
Yeah.
the guy who's actually doing all these crazy events.
Yeah.
But maybe just a short, which is not possible because you're already 30 years in the recruitment.
You're calling me old, aren't you?
No, you said it yourself. I'm the grandfather of recruitment.
Yeah.
So maybe share with us the whole story, how you actually came to the recruitment and what happened with you during the last 30 years.
I wanted to be a musician. I used to have dreadlocks until my house. And
Come
on. No, really.
That's true.
That's true. I played in a reggae band, and the only thing I wanted to do was become a full-time musician.
Okay.
And then my dad said, well, that's an education to unemployment, you know? If you're going to do the conservatorium and, you know, going to the music school, etc. Okay. So you have to do something else first and study something else, get a bachelor's degree in something else.
Okay.
So then I went to the college here or in The Hague, and there was an open day, as they call it in Dutch, open dag. And I saw all these like really nice girls going into one room, and I thought, oh, that looks very interesting. And turns out that was HR, okay. The HR study. So I went there and studied HR. Thought it was not really my thing, but finished it anyway. And during my studies, I came in contact with recruitment. So during my first internship in the first year, I was 18 or something, I went to a temping agency, did my internship there, loved it. Then started my own recruitment agency when I was 18, together with my
18
college.
and you're already starting your own recruitment agency.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we never had enough money for beer in our student house. So
Okay.
we started recruitment agencies just to pay our beer habits.
Okay.
So we did that, and I've never looked back. So I've done a lot of agency recruitment, done a lot of corporate recruitment, being corporate recruitment manager for some of the largest Dutch companies like T-Mobile, what now is Odido.
Okay.
Kroon, Wolter and Drost TBI, one of the largest Dutch technical companies.
Okay.
And a year and a half ago, I decided to start being a full-time entrepreneur again. And
That's
also,
where we met, by the way.
Exactly, exactly. And I must say, it's not always easy being an entrepreneur, especially in a market where people are, how shall I say it, very indifferent, especially if it comes down to events and things like what I'm trying to do. Because you also see that people are changing. They're changing in what they expect. You see with a lot of events now that the new generation, they don't really see how important a network is, because they all think I already have a network because I have 700 friends on Instagram or whatever. But actually in-depth knowing your network is something that a lot of people forget. At least that's what I think.
Okay.
You would just be a name on the screen for me.
Yeah.
But it takes talks like this and getting to know each other to actually, strengthen your network.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a bumpy road.
Okay.
Also with seeing that a lot of people are not willing to invest in themselves if it comes down to recruitment skills and knowledge about recruitment. And I think also because of a lot of new generation recruiters see it as a job and not as a calling. I've always seen recruitment as a calling.
Okay, but do you know a lot of people who sees the same way as you?
No, not a lot. From my generation, but not in the younger generation.
Because this is what I keep hearing, that recruitment not necessarily the job you dreamed about, but it just found you.
I guess so. And I don't think anybody has ever said to their mom and dad, you know what I want to do when I grow up? I want to sell people. It's not.
Maybe a couple of generations ago in the Netherlands, that was actually quite trendy.
I think so. No,
Okay.
but it is, as I see a lot of. What's the best thing you can do is, or help somebody to find love, or help somebody to find a job.
Now you're trying to combine the both.
And yes, absolutely.
Martijn.
I really do think that.
Okay, but I keep seeing that you're incorporating the love element a lot in your pitches,
Yes.
the way you talk, the way you actually
Recruitment love.
being passionate about everything, right?
Yeah.
But maybe just before that, because you said I've been 30 years, you've seen everything.
Yeah.
But then you decided to go as an entrepreneur, starting with the community, the events.
Yeah.
But what was actually that point when you said I want to do that?
Well, the one thing is that as a TA lead, and when you're, working as a TA manager, you get invited for a lot of events.
Okay.
And I saw that a lot of Dutch events were, or people just, hey, look at my product, or hey, look at we did with a very big amount of money, and that's why we were successful in actually, hiring people. If you give me a 300K budget for a campaign, of course I'm going to get people in. I'm not a fucking idiot, right? And they were only talking high over about what recruitment is. And that's what I really try to do with our community, really talk about skills that you need as a recruiter, talk about how shitty it is to managing hiring managers. There's not a lot of people that actually talk about that, and especially not at events. So
How you should manage a hiring manager. But tell now to everyone.
Well, I think it's listening a lot better, and also raise up your, in Dutch we call it voed je hiring manager op. Explaining to your hiring manager why they need to react on the resume within 24 hours, why they need to actually be engaged in the hiring process because of the whole candidate experience, why they need to actually really think about the vacancy. I mean, the one thing I love about your software is actually you challenge that, you know? Talk about the vacancy, get the hiring manager on board to actually think about, hey, what is this vacancy? And not from out of vacancy perspective, but what is this person actually going to bring to my team to make it more successful, you know? And a lot of recruiters, those really basic skills are being lost. And to be honest, we talk a lot about, is AI going to take over recruitment? Yes, AI will. If you're a shitty recruiter, why would I pay you 4,000, 5,000 euros a month to do a crappy job if I can automate you? You know? So,
and what would be the percentage of those people, Martijn? The crappy recruiters?
to be honest, I see a lot of new recruiters coming into the field that don't invest in themselves. You know, they do not invest in themselves, and then it's a job. You know, and then it's not a calling. If it's not a, you know, if that's, I think, where the difference is. You know.
Can we easily say that 80% of the recruiters are not actually
I don't
treating
think-
it seriously?
I don't think 80%, but I just think that a new generation of recruiters. I'll give you an example. I had somebody who said to me, Martijn, I now have a company phone. And it's really weird, but people that I don't know keep calling me all the time, but I never pick up an unknown number. Because my mom told me never to pick up an unknown number. And this is the person that is actually going to talk about me and my career goals? No. No, fuck no. So, and you see that, you know, because we're focused on speed, we really forget skills. So I think, yes.
And how it's possible to teach it? Because you said, like, okay, I want to actually share my
I
experience.
do a lot of workshops, I do a lot of one-on-ones, I do a lot of coaching. I do
with the recruitment people.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my, you know, my side hustle in the whole recruitment life thing. Because I'm never going to get rich out of recruitment life. It actually costs me money just to keep it alive. But because I'm so passionate about learning recruiters to become better recruiters, I'm willing to invest in that.
So which means that if somebody in the recruitment right now, they want to upskill themselves, they should come to you.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so. But it's not even they have to come to me. It's more that people have to realize that, as you know, Recruitment Life, the name comes from recruitment. It's not a job, it's a way of life, as one of my managers once said to me. So I'm very much focused on that, on actually, so I'm very much focused to show a younger generation of recruiters how you can actually also do the job and do it enjoyably. I mean, it's as I said, I think one of the most greatest things is to help somebody. I mean, you spend 40 hours sleeping a week, 40 hours with your partner, and 40 hours at your job. Well, maybe I'm that boring, I can help you sleep, but at least, you know, let us get the job part right.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of, there are a lot of shitty recruiters out there that also really make it bad for the rest of us. You know?
Okay.
Because of not responding, not getting back on emails, not letting you know, after you applied for a job where you're actually at. Even recruiters that are recruiting recruiters. What I find really weird.
But this is the reality now.
It is a reality, but it's also, I find a shame.
Yeah.
Because we get a very bad rep in the market because of, oh, why should I give my resume to a recruiter and make him rich,
Yeah.
you know?
You already mentioned yourself that there is a lot of shitty recruiters, especially the new generations, because maybe they were not trained in the right way.
Yeah.
They didn't see the right behavior, attitude, the skills, capability, capacity, and everything they need to actually embrace.
Yeah.
But this is also when to the point that the business see the recruitment function not necessarily the way it used to be, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's more about like it's a cost center. If I can automate it with a couple of software here and the software will be doing a better job, they will reply at least to the candidates, they will provide the proper feedback and etc. Yeah, not as the professional recruiter would do, but still.
Yeah.
Then from one side, we see that there is a way that the recruiters will be actually starting to extinct a bit, yeah? So we have less and less people in the recruitment.
Yeah.
From the other side, we keep hearing that you should be actually a trusted advisor, you should actually upskill yourself, but then this is not a lot of people out there.
But
So-
are you going to be a trusted advisor if you don't pick up the phone? If somebody
You
calls
want, but that's the point, you want.
No.
But then the dilemma is, the majority of the recruiters, they see that, okay,
Yeah.
maybe we won't have a job tomorrow. If that's the skills, why they need to upskill themselves?
Yeah.
Maybe they need to search actually for another job.
Please do.
Okay.
Please go become a bus driver or something else. Because there are a lot of really bad recruiters out there. And to be honest, I think the biggest difference is when I got into the job 30 years ago, you had a lot of temping agencies, right?
Yeah.
Not as much as we do now, but most of people actually started in their career working for a Randstad or a Tempo team or companies like that.
Okay.
They had like a 6 weeks course just to become an intercedent, to become a temping agent. You know, you had to do that. So at least you got a certain basis. Now, everybody who has a laptop can call themselves a recruiter. Doesn't make them a good recruiter, but everybody can call themselves a recruiter.
What is the way forward?
See, I had a whole discussion with Kevin Wheeler. A lot of people know him, but I really love Kevin because a lot of the predictions he's made has actually come true. You know, in the past 30 years that I've been following this guy. And he said, yeah, well, we have to become much more talented advisors, you know? You know, we have a name for that. It's called HR. So, you know, what is a talented advisor? I just really think what's going to change is you're going to see that temping agencies, they'll always be there because the people they help are also the people who need help to getting into the job market. You know, so they need somebody to help them out. So my daughter, who also works in recruitment, who works for Luba, she really brings people to the factory where they have to work. These aren't people who have the application skills, etc., etc. Is there going to be a really big change in the market? Yes, because a lot of jobs are also actually disappearing.
Yeah.
Not only recruitment, but a lot of any job that has marketing and communication in the title, it's going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
Because why would I have a whole team doing my marketing if, as we're now walking here, my AI is doing outreach? Do you want to come to my event? Oh, you don't want to come? Oh, such a shame. Blah, 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 blah.
But is it true that
Huh?
the AI is doing this now?
Yes, of course.
But you do believe in the human touch. Why are you using the AI for the outreach?
Have you seen my AI? My AI is bloody brilliant.
But everybody would think so. Why it's so different? How you set it up? Can you share a bit of experience the way you did it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, to sell let's say, 50 tickets to an event, I have to do an outreach to around about 1,000 people. So I can't do that manually anymore.
5%.
Yeah.
That's the success rate. Okay. Okay.
And then I have a lot of reputation and a lot of people who all just buy the ticket because of the fact that it's me and they know me and etc. But you'll just see, and of course, I have a very large market, 40,000 recruiters in the Dutch market.
40,000, 40.
Yeah. Yes, 40,000.
Okay.
So there's a lot out there. And then I'm of course talking about corporate recruiters, agency recruiters, temping agents, etc. But the market in the Netherlands is really huge.
Yeah.
So together with Mipital, Victor Wubbe, I'm using their outreach program. And I must say, it is astonishing how good it is. Conversational AI and how it really picks up with, if somebody says, oh, sorry, I can't because my mother's sick, it actually sends back, oh, how terrible to hear that. I hope your mom really recuperates really fast and let me know if I can do anything for you. That's how good it is.
Okay.
So, and yes, the human touch is very important, but the human touch is important the moment that somebody actually says, I'm interested. That's when the human touch gets.
Okay. So basically to get them hooked, you're using the AI, but then the rest of the job is yours.
Absolutely.
Time to cost or time to hire, 65%.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that case and how you did it?
I think that a lot of companies have absolutely no idea what their cost per hire is or what their time to hire is.
Okay.
I think the two things I really love doing, is bringing back costs. It's my favorite thing.
How you do that?
Automating. A lot of automating in not only outreach, but also automating your process. You know, it's really simple. It's things like, hey, I have a job for you, and somebody's really interested. You know, oh, I'm interested. Here's my resume. It's really easy to actually send them an email back. Wow, you know. But a lot of people actually forget that. With, hey, thank you. Really great that you actually applied for this job. You know, what we'll do in the Netherlands is, thank you for your resume. We'll get back to you within 14 days. Does that feel like, hey, welcome?
No.
No.
Yeah.
So it's also communication and how you do this, the things during the process. It's also making sure that the candidates that apply actually also all get the right to have a chat with you. Because who am I as a recruiter to, based on a piece of paper, to say you're a fit for my company? You research the job, at least that's what I hope, you know, that people research the job, or your AI research the job, you know, and so why not actually ask people questions? Hey, why did you apply for this job? I see this and that in your resume. What's interesting in that? Those are all things that you can actually automate. But also, I'll give you a small example. I worked at T-Mobile, and if you would come for your interview, you had to park in the parking garage. And then you came up out of the parking garage, and then everybody was like, oh, where the hell do I actually have to go inside? And you actually had to walk all the way around the building. So what we did was, if people would actually come into an interview, they would get an SMS message from the recruitment team. Good luck tomorrow with your interview. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us.
Yeah.
Then, hey, we actually have a parking spot reserved for you. Keep this in front of the scanner, and they'll let you in. So people put it in front of the scanner, and then the parking meter actually said, "Welcome, Alisher. Welcome for your interview. Have a great time."
That's amazing. Okay.
So then we made a little film in a Benny Hill kind of style, then of how they had to go from the parking garage into the office. These are all automated processes. So
this is the candidate
That's the candidate experience. But if your candidate experience is of a higher level, people will actually outperform on their interviews. They'll do better. They'll really want to work for you. Okay. They won't go in there with, "Oh, let's have a try," or "let's see." No, people will be very much motivated to join your company.
Okay.
So that's also a thing that will bring back your time to hire, because managers get less options, you know. And that's also one thing that I always have done: give managers less options. If you give them 10 candidates to choose from, they'll never choose, because in the Netherlands we think that hiring people is a democratic process. It's not a democratic process. You just really need to know, what am I hiring, why am I hiring this person, etc. So give them 2 or 3 candidates to choose from, but don't leave it in an open end. If you put forward 4 candidates and the manager has not been able to hire anybody out of those 4 there are 2 things that are wrong. 1, the job description, or 2, what they're looking for is a pink elephant with wings on roller skates. You know?
Okay.
So that really works. Bringing back agencies to 0 is the number 1 thing I always do, because that's your biggest cost gap.
How you can do that? Practical advice to everyone who wants to do that.
Practical advice is just getting good recruiters. Start recruiting yourself. Why would I pay an agency 20,000 euros if I can pay a recruiter 5,000 euros plus blah, 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 taxes, okay, 8, 9, 10,000 euros, and I can get 4 candidates for the same price? You know, it's 2,500 euros per candidate. So if you're used to paying 30,000 euros for candidates, what a lot, especially in the technical field, as I've worked at Walter and Dros, where a temping or a contracting agency, you know, gets around about 30k of margin in the year that somebody's there. You can really bring that back if you just have a really good recruiter.
Okay.
So, and that is why you have to train your recruiters.
Okay, and what about the niche roles where you cannot find it via your recruitment team?
Then of course you can use an agency.
But then
But it's a really big difference if you do 10% of your recruitment with agencies or 40% with agencies.
Okay, but you said the 0. That you believe in the 0.
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay.
No, I mean...
but then the agencies will hate you for this now.
Yes.
Okay, but you do have a lot of friends at the agencies.
Yeah, because really good agencies, I've always also been able to get a lot of money for. So, because yes, of course you have niche roles, and of course you have roles you just do not have the capability or the time for, but then it's a really good thing to make a very deliberate choice in that. But to be honest, I really see that, especially with a company in the size that I worked for, that managers aren't actually being reprimanded for using an agency. So okay. I guess that's a really big difference in how you want to work.
Martijn.
Yeah.
Hello. You touched the event thingy, and you said that you saw how wrong it is. And that's also the motivation to fix it, you know, with your events.
Yeah.
But maybe if you can a bit deep dive in these events, because you're not just arranging and organizing them, but you're also part of a lot of events. You're being invited here and there. You see a lot. When you talk now, in 2026, maybe even 2025, what is wrong in the events? Because all these big companies, they're paying a lot of money. inviting all these cool head of TAs.
Yeah.
But still, what you don't see and what should be there?
I think values. I think we don't talk enough about values, about what we as an industry are responsible for.
Okay.
We're responsible for people, their careers. We never talk about that. We talk about tech, talk about amazing tech, about how important it is for people to use their tech and blah, 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 blah. But we don't really talk about, okay, so what are we doing with the psychology of a candidate? Mm-hmm. What are we doing to make sure that a younger recruiter actually is good at doing a job interview?
Okay.
What are we doing as TA leaders in the Netherlands to make our industry better as a whole? You know, we have a lot of conversations about how the market's changing, how AI is going to change a lot of things. And yes, of course, it's really great to talk with first movers and with companies that are actually changing the market. But are we changing it for the better? To be honest, I've seen every Terminator film that's out there. I'm fucking scared what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
I really am, and I really think that we don't think about that enough. I don't think we don't talk about privacy because, hey, it's quite of a hard subject to talk about, you know? I don't think we talk enough about how many crappy recruiters are out there. We don't talk enough about how some agencies will sell their mother if they can get money for it. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think there's enough accountability within the TA space in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So we always think it should be fun, but we never confront each other about it. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think that should be much more a part of what the community should be.
Okay. And how the vendors and different providers can facilitate it better, to be part of it, to contribute better?
Well, I think there are enough people who do talk about it, or not enough, but there are people out there that do talk about our industry and what's important and etc. Like these talks that you're doing, you know, giving people another insight into what recruitment could be, or what you should be thinking about, or what you should be talking about within your space, within the company, as a TA lead, etc. Mm-hmm. So I find it very much, and I love the fact that I have 120 members now within a year at Recruitmentlife, who also all think that the industry should be better.
Is this some kind of a filter for you when you're actually taking on board the people?
No, but I think the fact that people who are willing to pay to be a member of a community that actually really stands for this already gives me some hope that there are people out there that do think that recruitment is a way of life and not only a job. And people that are willing to invest in themselves and into others in the sense of a community. And I think we've lost our way in that sense.
Okay. Can you give some bright examples of the companies or the recruitment teams or maybe the agencies who are actually doing these things right? Maybe there are not many, but still.
I had a chat with the CEO of Into Dialogue. Mm-hmm. I find that a very cool example. I'm not a very big fan of AI note takers. Mm-hmm. Because I do interviews with my very big belly, you know, and onderbuikgevoel, as we would say in Dutch. But it's also 32 years of experience of actually interviewing people.
Okay.
The great thing of Into Dialogue is when you have an interview as a recruiter, it actually gives you feedback in what you could have done better during your interview as a recruiter.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay.
I love the instant circle of feedback and giving feedback, even though we don't like getting feedback in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Because we're always very good giving our opinion, but we're not very good handling feedback. So I love that. I love the fact that the guys like Patrick Boonstra of RTM are such savage tech nerds who actually find that privacy laws are important. And I also love the fact that there are people that also talk about their failures instead of just only talking about their success. There is somebody I work for. I do some coaching of her recruiters. The fact that people are actually just investing in their team and they want to make them better, I already find quite comforting. On the other hand, we did some research last year as a Recruitmentlife together with the Hogeschool of Rotterdam. 85% of all TA managers does not invest in schooling or training of their recruiters.
85.
85%.
No investment.
No investment whatsoever. And the 15% that actually do invest, it's always Marcel van der Meer and his fucking sourcing training. Or something like that, you know?
Got it.
But it's never about, hey, but how do you actually do an intake with a manager? Or how do you actually interview a candidate?
But for a moment,
Yeah.
because I also know the person and I don't have anything against the person. I think he's doing an incredible job in the automation out there. But then it's a hard skills which obviously being in the focus. Now you're talking more about the soft skills.
Exactly.
But then the question, head of TA is there, they have a budget.
Yeah.
How to split this budget in terms of the hard and the soft skills in terms of the upskilling the team?
You don't even need a budget. If you're a TA manager and you have 10 years experience and you have junior recruiters, why don't you do a monthly recap with your team to advise them how they can do their interviews better? A lot of people don't even do that.
Okay.
Why don't you train your own team? I mean, one of the things, I didn't get fuck all budget to train my own recruiters in the past either. So what I did, I trained them myself, or I got friends of mine to train them for free.
Are you born in Rotterdam?
No, I'm not. I moved here because I fell madly in love with Gunvor, my wife.
Okay. And when it happened?
When it happened, this was 4 years ago.
Okay.
And we went on to a festival together, our first date. And I asked her on our first date if she wanted to be my girlfriend. And because she's also a recruiter, she said, fine, but you are going to get a probationary period of 2 months. And the rest is history. So I moved to Rotterdam a few years ago.
Because she was living here.
Because, yeah, she's, as we would say, she's more Rotterdam than the Erasmusbrug that we have. So she really loves Rotterdam. And I love it as well. So I think it's a really cool city to live in. And to be honest, work-wise, I mean, Rotterdam is also quite a tech hub if it comes to recruitment. I mean, we have Ubio here, we have Padap here, we have Into Dialogue here, we have Mr. Work here. We have so many really cool...
Intelligence group.
Intelligence group.
No, so we have... There is a history behind.
Oh, no, but, you know, they are my competitors, so at least Wervent is, so...
Okay.
Yeah. So there are a lot of really cool companies out here in the recruitment tech space.
Okay.
So.
Martijn,
Yeah.
you already mentioned about the hiring managers and
Yeah.
the way you need to manage the relationship with them, yeah?
Yeah.
how the recruiters can be a bit predictive and forecast a bit like what type of talents they need so they can actually really advise the hiring managers.
I think, let's be honest, with the amount of data that you have now, you can predict how much candidates you're going to have, how long it's going to take, etc., etc. I see so many recruiters who don't even know their own data. Don't know their own data. In the sense of how many people did you hire last year? I don't know.
Okay.
If there are free stats you always need to know is how much did I save for the organization? How much people did I hire? And how much candidates did I see during the past year? You know?
Okay.
So, and that with a lot of recruiters, they don't know. They don't give fuck all about it either. But those are the kind of data I think you should know. As a recruitment manager, as a TA lead, I could say in January, or in January, I could say based on my pipeline how much people we would hire in March. That's how good I was with predictive and with data and the analytics on the back end.
Okay.
Because we all know you can buy candidates. If you do this much in employer branding and turn up the wheel, you'll get more responses with eventually more candidates. If you spend 1 hour in sourcing, you're going to get a lot less candidates if you put 40 hours in sourcing. But I've been talking to recruiters. I had a recruiter last year who I was coaching, and I said, so how's your job? She said, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm always so busy. I said, what are you busy with? Oh, managing agencies and managing all those hiring managers. And, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. And I said, well, you're not busy with recruiting, because I looked in your LinkedIn recruiter seat, and in the whole past year, you only sent 42 LinkedIn mails. So, that's the other side. And that's what I mean with there are a lot of recruiters out there that, that really do not know the basis. Do not know the basis that they should know, how important data is. A lot of people don't know what their cost per candidate is. They don't know what their time to hire is. They don't know what their time to fill is. I know a lot of recruiters that don't even know the difference between time to fill and time to hire. That's what I'm doing now with Recruitmentlife, is actually learning a lot of these basic skills. That's why I do a lot of things with, together, for example, with recruitment marketeers, my friends. We do a lot of explaining things about server-side tagging, how important that is. Explaining how you actually write a job vacancy, how the psyche of the candidate actually works. Okay. And that is one thing I think we have a lot to win.
You said if you're a young recruiter, you're junior, and you want to upskill yourself, first thing you need to do, it's actually join my community. You are the community.
Of course, no. Okay. Of course, that's a joke, but it's not. It's really not.
Okay.
So, no, I think, the thing is, I think you also have to know that, is recruitment a career for you, or is it a job? Is it a passion, or does it just pay your bills? Mm-hmm. Personally, I couldn't work 40 hours a week in something I don't love. And I've said this before. If I go out of recruitment within now in the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to start a cheese shop because I fucking love cheese. But if you're going to do something, do it well and invest in yourself. Read everything you can. There's so much out there. I make it a point of at least reading an hour, 2 hours a day about recruitment. And if you don't like reading it, watch film. There are so many good interviews out there. There are so many good podcasts. There's so many places where you can actually inform yourself of how to become better at your job. But invest in yourself. And that's not even just a recruitment thing. you know, or for recruiters or for young recruiters. That's for everybody. If you want to be of relevance in the job market, in any job market, invest in yourself and make sure that you're the best out there. That's what I personally think. Why would you settle for mediocre if you can actually be a lot better than the rest just by investing in yourself? You know, don't spend your money on matcha, you know, but put your money in yourself, you know. For the amount of one matcha a month, you can actually become a member of Recruitmentlife. You know?
Great salesman.
But it's true. We usually always say for the prijs van bitterballen, but hey.
Yeah.
So you know, I find that very important. I mean, invest in yourself and be curious. And if somebody shows you new tech, think how that will be of an impact in you personally. So I find that very important.
You mentioned a couple of times the tech part, yeah?
Yeah.
That first of all, in some events, you see it's too much.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the only angle they have.
Yeah.
How cool is the tech, how they can actually help you and etc. But you keep focusing on the soft skills.
Yeah.
But how do you see now the combination of both?
I think also tech, you have to learn to work with. I'll give you an example. As anybody who follows me knows, I love making AI-generated pictures of myself.
Oh yeah, I saw them a lot.
I love that. I really love that. Because I have a lot of fun with it as well, you know?
Anybody give you the feedback already?
Yes, my daughter, and she said, "Dad, that's so fucking cringe." You know, you know, the one day you make yourself into Superman, and the other day you're working on a construction site, and the other day you're riding on a pink unicorn.
Okay.
And my wife, who's also in recruitment and works for Time to Hire, is a lot more a person who works in this field from her heart. She hates AI. Up until 3 months ago, when she joined Time to Hire, who you also know,
Yeah.
who are really making a difference, I think, as an RPO party to actually investing into AI, in actually understanding that if you want to make a difference within now and the next few years, you have to invest in this shit, you know, because it is going to change the market, if you believe it or not, but the majority of the people will. So my wife joined Time to Hire, and they are a very hip, up-and-coming, you know, RPO, up-and-coming, they've already been around for nearly 10 years, but they're really working on that AI suites as well.
Yeah.
So my wife is now using their Claude note taker and etc. etc. She's astonished. Where in the first weeks she was like, "Oh, I hate my MacBook," because she didn't know how to work it. And on the other hand, "Oh, these guys just work with AI the whole day and blah 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 blah." Now she actually loves working with it. So, and even she's very young, of course, but she did not really love working with it. So I think even that she now also sees that, hey, our industry is changing. It is important. Hey, the note taker actually made quite a lot of sense of what it actually told me, you know? Yeah. Oh, on the other hand, okay, we have to change this, we have to change that, but it is going to make our life a lot easier. But invest in that, you know? Really understand, how can my job be easier by using AI, but always put yourself first, and always make that you are the person who makes the difference and not your AI. If you do, AI will come and take your job, you know? If you're not trying to be outstanding in your job, AI will do it a lot better. Because let's honest, our job as a recruiter is not a lot more than, hey, Alisher, you're looking for a software developer? Well, this is my friend Nico. Nico, this is Alisher. What else is our job? Not a lot more than that. If you put it really basic.
Yeah.
But that part, AI can do better than any human.
Okay.
At least that's what I think. You know? If I look at the fact that the one thing I was always terrible in as a recruiter myself was planning interviews. I hated it. And now I can send people a link with, hey, this is my agenda. Put in your own meeting.
Yeah.
That's fucking great, isn't it? I used to have a secretary who worked 40 hours a week for me doing that. I now have a PA who works for me 8 hours a week, 16 at best, just to make sure that the AI is actually doing what I'm asking it to do.
Yeah.
And doing the human interface for the events. But still, it is changing. So invest in it. But still, you know, make sure that you're not losing control. And hey, and that's Overjan Niemeyer, who's I think also a friend of yours, says it's not in the case that investing in it as a person will make you a better recruiter, but you'll at least be better than all the people who aren't investing in it.
Martijn,
Yeah.
we have a game.
Oh.
This is a classic game, but then there is something very interesting for the winner.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna win this game, you will get a very cool branded
Yeah.
stuff from us.
Okay.
But if I'm gonna win,
Yeah.
then you need to do something to support Avery. In your case, you can introduce us to more people who can actually get the benefit of our solution.
Yeah. I always do that anyway. So.
But let's make it official. So no.
Okay, sorry.
So what happens with this? What's the third rule? You don't lose, you don't win?
Okay, I will get a branded hoodie, and anyway, they have great software, so have a look, especially at A3.
Okay, champs, we just finished the conversation with one and only Martijn. That was the season 3 first episode, and I cannot believe how beautiful that was. Not only the conversation, but look at the views. Listen, learn, and let's all become a bit better in our game.
I may be caught up in this traffic, but it won't stop my flow.